Three, two, one. Hello and welcome to episode 101 of Ruse Radio. We are back at it again with a very special guest. I've got a doctor in the room who's ready to heal all my ailments. He's going to give me some remedies. Doctor, please introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, my name is Mike Smith, A.K.A. the Doctor of Laughter.
And Doctor of Laughter. So I feel like when I hear that, I already know there's a story behind that. So I'd love to hear the story behind where do we start with Doctor of Laughter? How did you become this mastermind?
Well, Doctor of Laughter goes because King Solomon, a famous king in northern Israel years ago, said, "A cheerful heart is like good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." Well, it doesn't really roll well off the tongue, especially on stage, but it translates to laughter is the best medicine, and that's my motto, that it can cure a broken heart.
Now, I was reading something where it said that like laughter physiologically can open someone up to new ideas. Like there's literally, in the feeling of laughter, there's something happening there where you feel like there's tension broken and you can accept whatever it is that someone's saying. I think that like laughter is therapeutic in such a way.
Oh, absolutely.
You could prove probably on paper that laughter does that for people. Like it's not even a theory, it's really true. And it's so, like, you know, people will say you can't joke about certain things, but sometimes those jokes are what help you heal thinking about those certain things. Like you have to joke about some things to accept, you know, like jokes aren't always happy. A lot of jokes, like dark humor, can come across a little bit negative, but there's something about even acknowledging that you can laugh at these things and there's joy to be found in everything in life somehow. I think that is very powerful.
Well, I could tell you firsthand the amount of I cannot count how many times I've been somewhere, Walmart, work, wherever, and I've done stupid stuff just to do it, to make people, just to try a new voice or joke or whatever. And they've told me they had a bad day and it made their day better. And I knew nothing about them. I didn't know what was going in their through their head, but they said it made their day better. And that was just me doing stupid stuff just to do it, practicing different things and telling jokes, and makes their day better. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And is that what inspires you to do that, just to make people's day better? When did you start doing that?
I started in 2019, September 2019. So I started practicing about August of 19. My wife says, "You need to go on stage." She goes, "You're always making people laugh. You're always doing voices. You're always doing different things to make people laugh. You need to go on stage." She kept pushing. And I finally, in August of 19, set up material that I wanted to do. And even though I was horrendous my first time, I never thought, I'm not going to do this. I absolutely love making people laugh. I love going on stage. I enjoy nothing more than that. And it is so awesome making people's day better.
Yeah. And how did that process really happen then? Because you say you just started going on stage. Do you remember the first show?
Oh, I remember the first show. So it was a 5-minute set. I had everything planned to the T. I planned it was 4 to 6 weeks that I had planned the material. About 2 weeks before I went on stage, I went to visit the comedy club to get a view of the setting so that I had an idea when I go on stage what I'm looking at.
Okay.
And so I had 3 voices. I was using Bill Clinton, I was using Al Gore, and I was using Beavis from Beavis and Butthead. And it wasn't until I got on stage that stage fright hit, and I didn't, when I got to using 3 voices, it really hit, and I got overwhelmed because I was using Bill Clinton's words with Beavis's voice and back and forth, just because of the stage fright. And I've gotten better with that.
Yeah.
And I so much enjoy it. I never stopped. Even on my worst day, I never thought, I'm not going to do this. I love it.
Huh. Interesting. And so you just developed more voices beyond those 3 over time, right?
Yeah. In fact,
Go ahead. A water break for the audio listeners. We're sipping water.
So, before that, I didn't think much about it. I've been doing voices for as long as I can remember. Not that I thought much about it, because when you're a kid growing up, you just kind of do things or whatever, have an interest in things. You don't think much about it. It wasn't until my wife, we were dating at the time, and she goes, "You need to go on stage. You need to do this stuff because you're always making people laugh. You're always doing voices." And Sometimes I've been doing voices for a long time, and sometimes I will come up with a voice to match the joke, and sometimes it's an actual voice. For example, The Godfather. Sometimes it's a created voice of my own thought to match the joke of it, because otherwise, without that voice, it's just the joke will fall flat.
Okay. And what other jokes are like that then? What other jokes where you make the voice for the joke?
So like, well, I will use. You mean creating the own joke?
Well, like you said, you apply to the Godfather voice to that joke.
Well,
like you learn that just for the joke, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll use it for other jokes, but sometimes like, so Michael Buffer. For those who don't know Michael Buffer, he did the Saturday Night Fights. Let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. So I came with a joke that talked about Ronda Rousey and her now husband, who's a fighter, getting married. So I announced their wedding day like a fight.
Okay.
So sometimes I'll come up with it, and sometimes I'll use it with other stuff just later on. But for the initial, it's like, oh, I need this voice to match what I'm doing.
Okay. How many voices would you say that you have in your repertoire at the moment?
Stuff that I do comfortably, probably, I don't know, 6 to 10. There's like 15 to 20. I don't, like, some of them I don't do regular, so I don't think much about it. If I wrote down, like, oh, yeah, and I've wrote it down sometimes, so I'll do stuff like, oh, wait a minute, I've done this voice. Like, you know, like, but some of them I don't do regular, so I don't think much about them.
Yeah. Interesting. I was talking with my dad, and I told him that, like, I remember I've only had this conversation with like one person where I just ran through all my accents on them. I was like, all right, so let's try this one. Let's try this one. He didn't really give me much feedback, you know. Hold on one second, folks. Oh, I thought I heard the kitty cat. He didn't really give me much feedback, but it was a valuable experience because here we go, you know, throwing all these voices at him. And it made me realize I think I got about like 10 accents, maybe, and they're not even that good. Like, you know, and some voices I can kind of do. Like, I think it's just a muscle you need to practice. Because I've got a voice for it. I've got a flexible voice. I could learn a lot of impressions.
Like when I started, like when I went on a stage before, so it was months beforehand, I could do one voice at a time. I could go from Bill Clinton to Al Gore.
Because that's hard to switch between them.
Yeah, and my wife's like, you need. She goes, I dare you to go from voice to voice, and that's because you have to train your voice and your brain to go from one to the other, and I'll like.
And they start to blend together.
Yeah, and if you're like if you don't know me and you're like walking past me and I'm doing these different voices, you're probably think I'm psychotic or something. Really psychotic. Just saying, really psychotic. He's psychotic.
Totally crazy. Actually insane. I don't know what that guy's doing. I don't even know that guy. He looks crazy. He looks like a hobo on the sidewalk.
Like so, it's rather evil genius, I like to say.
You got Dr. Evil. You got, I was going to say Dr. Trump. You got Dr. Evil. You got Dr. Trump. You got Al Gore. Mm-hmm. Al Gore's another one. You were doing a whole lot of Bill Clinton, too.
That's right. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I've been doing it since 1998. And a lot of people think that, like, when I do Bill Clinton's, they think I looked in the mirror and practiced it, and I never did. I watched him perform, and I just started doing the gestures and facial expressions to match, and just contort my face to match it. There's a guy named an actor who died many years ago. His name was Eddie G. Robinson. So those who don't know him might remember Bugs Bunny. There was a gangster, and he was saying, "It's curtain shay. Nobody does this rocking gear with the shay." So that was portrayed by Eddie G. Robinson, and there was an impressionist that did such a humongously amazing impression of him that if you put them side by side, you wouldn't know who was the real and who was impersonator, because he did that phenomenal job.
Sounds like that impression was so good, it was mind-blowing. That guy could have used a shirt to tell everybody what he's about to do, what he does, as a professional mind blower. That's right, folks. We got professional mind blower t-shirts out now. $25. You can cop one yourself, support the show, and let everybody know that you blow minds. All right, we're all mind blowers out here. We all can blow minds. You're capable of it. You got superpowers. Somewhere in you, you do something that blows somebody's mind. I guarantee it. I really do believe that. I believe that we all have amazing capabilities within us. And one thing I love to do with this podcast, with my art, is just to show you that that's in you too. And it's just a matter of honing it and utilizing it. So cop yourself a professional mind blower t-shirt. Be the professional mind blower you are. It's just a great way to support the show. It really helps us out and makes all of this possible. It's what I love to do, is just create things for you guys and be myself and put that out there, because I know it speaks volumes. The other way you can support the show, if you like what we do here, is the Patreon, just $5 a month, and it helps me immensely, okay? The price of a coffee, the price of a drink at the bar, and you are supporting us more than you even realize. So yeah, just please consider doing that. It makes all of this possible. Let's get back to the conversation and talk a little bit more about impressions.
That's interesting, because a lot of people's voices almost seem irreplicable. Like it's almost impossible to do. I think one thing that's funny that the Trump impressions are so popular is you can hear in different people's impressions different versions of the character. Like there's different representations, to the point where people will do an impression of a Trump impression that they heard, and you can kind of tell like it's always different. Like for mine, I try to just go for the cadence as much as possible. And I've noticed that what's funny about it to me is just the things that you can say as him. It's like, all I'm really doing is saying things are big and other things are small.
Really huge, really small. Yeah. And what I have done voice impressions, and I've had people get upset, and I'm like, you realize I'm impersonating somebody. I did a video back in 21, I think it was, and I had the gas prices, they were like $4 or whatever they were behind me, and I was imitating Trump, blaming Biden for the gas prices, and the person said in my comment says, you do know that the president doesn't control the gas prices. And I replied back, well, you know this is comedy. Some people have such hatred towards somebody that they don't, and this is Trump per se, but just in general, that they miss the obvious when comedians are impersonating somebody, because I could say anything absolutely arrogant as Trump, and it will match to the T. I can say anything X-rated as Bill Clinton, people like, that will fit to the T. So like when you do an impression, you have to be able to, it only works if you match it. So if I did like Clinton, I'll tell you what, I'm a really nice guy. I believe in virginity, really do. Save yourself in marriage. It wouldn't work. If I did Trump, you know what? I only look good because everybody else made me look good. It's not me, it's all them. It wouldn't work well, so you have to play into their personas.
Yeah. When I was on, I used to do this. I could probably still do it. I feel like it worked. Maybe it was just me convincing myself it worked. But I would be on TikTok, like TikTok Live, how you can duet people. And so, I don't know if you know, are you familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so you can just, any random person will give you a list of people, and you just tap it, and they'll send them a request, and then you're joining them, and you guys are talking with each other. It's annoying because on TikTok, these become like these fan-based duels where it's like, oh, send me likes so we can win. It's like TikTok live battle or something. It's so dumb. But anyway, and then they'll ignore each other half the time, like because they're just doing battles. Like it's for an algorithm. It's crazy. But that's not the point here, okay? So I go on with these people, and I would do a southern voice like this, and I would just talk like this for a while. I'd say like, hi, my name's Ruse, I'm a rapper. And that's what I do. I just rap and stuff like that. I don't really know what we're doing here, I was actually chilling just about in my bedroom, but I guess we're doing TikTok live now, so that's cool. I'm cool. I'm glad this is a thing because I didn't even really know much about this TikTok app, and I'm just talking to them like this for a while. And then I say, can I do freestyle rap for you? Can I just give you a little rap? And they're like, of course they say, yeah. So I'm like, all right, just give me 3 words, right? And then they give me 3 words. And then as soon as the rap starts, I just rap in my normal voice and do a normal freestyle. And they're like, they just get all like, you get their little reaction because I was doing the accent and now I'm doing my normal voice. And then it's over. And I go back to the normal voice afterwards, or the country voice after I'm done rapping. I go, what did you think of that? Did you think that was good? It's like I'm talking like this. And then I come in and I rap like this. And I'm like, what do you think about that? Was that all right? And that always worked pretty well. I wonder, I bet I left a lot of people thinking, like, what just happened there? It's a fun one.
And that's why I love doing comedy is you take your persona, and it takes a while what they call finding your voice. Mm-hmm. And I still haven't found mine yet. Trying different things, but like it's so much fun doing stand up. It's so much fun making people laugh, and see the audience reaction, and because you could tell if they're getting into it or not, and it's nothing like it. And I always say, because I've had people tell me, I can't go on stage do what you do. Well, I say that the setting doesn't matter, because some people think they have to go on stage, and that isn't important. If you're with friends and family, if you're coworkers, if you're on stage, the setting doesn't matter as long as you make people laugh, because life is too short. We can't take it that seriously, and we should, just make somebody's day a little bit better. Because I think everybody has talent to make people laugh, whether it's intentionally, like we go on stage, or they just tend to be goofy in general, and people just like, oh wow,
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of part of just, I think a lot of laughter and a lot of that is just most things that I find funny are like acknowledgement of funny truths. Like things, there's a lot of truth in comedy. There's a whole lot
absolutely.
Of it. Yeah, and so I think that's another big thing that's so therapeutic about it too, and that feeling of being able to make people laugh feels so good, because you're all just acknowledging like, oh, we're taking this way too serious.
Well, yeah, because you're absolutely right that all comedy is based in some truth, and you're exaggerated to make a point. Like my wife has this ability to talk full throttle the first second she wakes up. So I did a piece about that, about her waking up and talking for a second. So I created a piece about space mission launch, and went in detail how a space mission launch and some of the things they do, and now made the analogy of this is her brain and body doing this stuff to in a similar way.
It's a beautiful analogy.
Well, relationships is one of those, whether you're dating or married. I believe pretty much everybody's probably been in at least some kind of relationship, a dating relationship of some sort. Because friendships and dating are two different type of relationships. Because it's a different type, and everybody's been in a relationship, dating or married, and generally you'll all have that. I can't believe they just said that, or they do stuff to make you laugh. Like my wife sometimes can't pronounce certain words, so she'll like specific. She'll call it Pacific. She just can't pronounce it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like specification, she'll call pacification or something. She just has a way to make do things that make me laugh. Like not even trying. So my impression of her is, oh, I figure words, you're doing it all wrong. Get out of the way. I did a piece about reprogramming my GPS to sound like her.
Yeah. I think, how does this bit go again?
But GPS, so I will say, well, I'm going to paraphrase it, but I'll say something along the line of that, like, as a good husband, I want to be close to my wife, and even when I physically can't be close to her, I want to hear her voice. So I reprogrammed my GPS to sound like her. And for example, I'll say, I'll enter a destination, and I miss my exit. I don't even know why you're becoming programmed. You never listen to me. You never listen to me. Never at all. Just not freaking listen to me. Or if I say, GPS, what's the shortest route to my location? Oh, you cheap motherfucker, just take the tollway.
Is this accurate?
Yeah, because she'll say, you never listen to me. I've done like multiple pieces about her. In fact, I was just watching some of my YouTube videos today about different things she's done or said. And it's on. If you want to watch my any of my YouTube videos, it's Doctor of Laughter, spelled out DOCTOR, 1975 at YouTube.com. And she'll do stupid things, and I'll just I did a piece about a wedding called Wedding Season, where we got how we decide we're gonna get married. So the piece goes about if you guys remember Bugs Bunny hunting season, rabbit season versus duck season,
Hunting wabbits.
Yeah. So they go back and forth. It's rabbit season, duck season, and then Bugs Bunny flips it. Well, it's wedding season. It's funeral season. It's wedding season. It's funeral season. It's funeral season. It's wedding season. It's funeral season. It's wedding season. That's final.
What's your joke creation process like? How do these jokes generally come together?
Well, like somebody will say something sometimes. Different things will pop in my head. Like I'm working on a joke right now about the alphabet mafia, and I've not got it fully set because I'm missing a piece in there. Just isn't just fitting just right. So once I get it, but it just something popped in my head. I was watching some interview, and somebody mentioned alphabet mafia, and I'm like, this is gonna be really good. Look at the mafia over here. You know, I came with Marlon Brando's voice because I was driving work one day and there was a commercial for ZipRecruiter, and I couldn't get Joe Pesci's voice down. So I'm like, you know what? Don Corleone's I kind of got down. Let's play with this because I think I could. It works the same because they both have that same mafia type personality. One's just a little more eccentric in how he talks versus the other one's more quiet, and it just popped in my head. I'm like, so I started practicing the voice to get it fully down so that I could play the joke well.
Okay. That seems like a very specific impression, but maybe it's just that some voices have different quirks than others, I guess.
Well, some voices do because obviously it's their personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dr. Evil's the most evil person to ever exist. I'll take over the world without thinking about it. In fact, I did a piece about Dr. Evil performing a eulogy. And that was so much fun. So much fun that a friend of mine watched my video and she said, so-and-so died. I'm like, no. She goes, you said he died on stage. I'm like, you know I'm a comedian? Do you not know this? I was so convincing that she thought he had actually died. And I said, no, it's just a piece. She goes, oh, you should give me a head up sometime. Comedians don't give you heads up until they've already performed this thing.
It makes you wonder, like, how well she really knows you.
Oh,
maybe she thought that was your normal voice.
Well, no, it's not so much that it's a mutual friend we've known for 30 plus years.
Yeah. All right. She didn't just think this is how you talk all the time.
She thought that he actually died.
I know.
That's what threw her off because she actually thought the person was dead, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It just played well into the piece.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I thought that would be funny just I can't remember what it was, but just like fake announcing your friend's death just to see like how everybody reacts. Like, you know, say, oh my God, I can't believe John died. And then post that all over social media just to see if how everybody pays their respects as a prank for John, right? John doesn't know. And then John finds out 5 days later.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, oh my God, what the fuck did you guys do? That's a great idea for a prank. Like, it's not exactly ethical.
Yeah.
But I really think it would show you who your real friends are.
There's people have to realize there's humor everywhere, even if you don't think about it at the time.
Yes.
My best friend, the one that I did a joke about, we were 18 years old, and my parents had moved. I was still 18, so he moved. We had moved, and he stayed with us a week to help us move everything in. We take him back home, which is about 90 miles away, in that week, somehow my mom injured her wrist. Still to this day, have no clue how she injured her wrist. So we're at the hospital in the waiting room. And while she's in the back, there's these tic-tac-toe shaped building blocks. And there's this doll, and we start tossing the doll around. My best friend acts like he was giving her oral sex. And so I said, so he tosses me, and he says, I drop it. He says, "You killed it." I said, "Well, we better build a casket for it." So we build the casket. There's an old lady and her husband there. She's coming out. My mom happened to come back, and she goes, "There's some sick kids in there." My mom automatically assumed it was us. She was right, but she automatically assumed it was us.
And how does that story end up? Not good? Mom yells at us?
Oh, she doesn't know the extent because, and as a kid, you're not going to tell your parents certain things.
Yeah.
But, she would have blew a gasket. I think if she would know the full story behind it, she just automatically, because we've always been goofy, and she just assumed it was just us doing it. The woman didn't say what it was we did. Needless to say, she just knew it was us.
Yeah. Kids will be kids.
Kids will be kids.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Have you have any kids?
Yeah, she'll be 22 next year.
Wow. So you're all the way there. You're already seeing them become adults. Because that's really how it happens, That's what I was going to say is there's stages you go through as a parent, and that's what makes me nervous. It's knowing that you're going to hit the 10-year, the 13-year-old year, the 15-year-old year, and that you're going to see this person change in ways you would have never predicted,
Oh, yeah. Kids will say and do the stupidest things. Like, I had a fan, like that you like wave yourself when it's real hot. And she's like, "Daddy, am I your biggest fan?"
You're like, hold on, let me write that down for my
it's
material.
Like it's just it's amazing the humor. I work in the restaurant industry, and the amount of insanely unthinking people that come in are insane. I'll be at a drive-through, working at the drive-through. They'll go to the speaker and they order something. By the time they get to the window, like 20 seconds later, they're like, "I want to change my order." So, which is fine if it's slow, but if we're busy now, cooks had to remake your food because you decide you want to change it. And so it becomes material, coworkers will do stupid things, customers will do stupid things. Walk around any retail shop more because there's a larger amount of people. Just for 10 minutes, the amount of things you'll see. And it gives you an example of there's humor everywhere. So many years ago, this is, I don't know, probably 12 years ago, whatever it was, I was on a date. We went to this museum, and we were having a good time. And we walk around, and we get to the point where we have to use a bathroom. And we look around, we can't find it anywhere. So we're doing our little bathroom dance, and we get and this gentleman says, "Are you lost? Can we help you find something?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're trying to find the bathroom." Points us a direction. We get there. You got the men's room on one side, the women's on the other. The men's was left, women's right. And the sign says women's, and then under the women's it says water fountain. So we're separating water fountains now. Obviously, that's not what they meant, but I see it as humor. Over by where I live, there's an adult daycare named Capper. Well, I like to call it Crapper Daycare because it's rather fitting, because they're usually wearing Depends at that point or whatever. Really crap their pants, probably like the Democrats did, just crapped them out of nowhere. Probably Biden. I mean, look, Biden met with me. He was really happy. I mean, I think he probably voted for me because he really doesn't like Kami Kamala.
Kami Kamala. Would he say Kamala? I think he would say Kamala. He would say, one thing I noticed is as soon as Kamala started saying, or is it, yeah, Kamala, that's the way. She started saying, "You got to pronounce my name this way." Then Trump started purposely saying it wrong.
I really did, because for how long? 50 years, we knew her as Kamala. Then she says, "No, it's Kamala," like a comma, and la, like you're laughing at a comma. I mean, a lot of laughs at a comma. I mean, it's a pause, kind of like her brain, just saying.
Now, I can't really do Obama, but I feel like this is close. It's not that far off. It's not that hard of a voice to do. I feel like I can get it a lot better. But it's great right now.
I think it's actually really well.
You think so?
Oh yeah, it's funny, and that's the point because like you like it goes back to the personality of him of him.
I think a good impression is the personality.
Yeah, you have to play it. I have a buddy of mine who does a phenomenal Obama voice, and it's funny. I've seen him do several pieces with Obama, and it's usually where he does Trump, Obama, Biden, and several others. It's so much fun watch him do that, and the way he plays it is just phenomenal because he plays Obama's cadence and his tone and everything like I've never ever seen before, and that's you. It's not just the voice, but you got to have how do they talk? You know, Clinton's like, I'll tell you what. I like a flash sale, but a flash sale, I mean them paying them to flash their titties at me.
Sounds like you got his personality down to a T.
Oh, I'll tell you what. My wife says I live vicariously through Bill Clinton and Cartman. Yeah, probably true. Get my cheesy pills, sound good.
I feel like my Cartman's not that bad.
But Cartman's kind of hard.
Cartman is not that easy.
Yeah, it's very not good. It's not. You know, if I practice that, it could get a lot better. I'll say that much.
I don't remember when I started doing Cartman's. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I'm trying to think of, like, I every time I try and do an Alex Jones, I mess my throat up a little bit. That's why I hate to do it. But it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Dude, you got to go all the way forward.
Well, some voices, so like, some voices you don't want to do for a long period of time. Like, for example, the lead vocals of AC/DC. I can do his, for those about to rock. But you don't want to do it for a long period of time because it'll tear up your throat. And like Clinton's isn't that bad because it's not really loud. It's just deep. It really is.
Yeah.
But some of them, you do it for a long period of time. And I've seen some comedians do theirs for quite a bit. And I'm like, how they do it. That takes, I mean, the lead vocals, he was singing like that. And I'm like, that's got to really strain your voice. But it's fun to do.
I think it's technique too at a certain point, just like singing is. But some things aren't. Like some things, because the original technique is bad and you're doing an impression of the original technique, you actually have to do it wrong. Some things you can't do right unless you do them wrong with impressions. It's literally like that. With like a lot of bands who earlier on, like there's, I think Asking Alexandria was like this. There's a band, System of a Down is like this, where they used to sing with such like big, giant vocals. Like their screams were out of this world. Serge Tankian and System of a Down in particular. Like if you go back and listen to their stuff around the early 2000s, the way he uses his voice is, you don't hear anybody else doing anything like that. And then 20 years later, he's not doing that at all. Live, he's doing the original songs, but he stopped doing them like that at a certain point because he was throwing his voice out. If he would have kept doing that forever, his voice would not be intact today. Like there's a certain point where you can't do it forever. But it's like anything, you know, you probably can do it for a while. You probably can like do those harsh voices for a while. I can tell you even like from doing songs like that and like using my voice wrong, because when I'm live, I'll get into it. I'll really get into it. I'm a performer. And when you do that, you throw your voice a little bit in ways.
I did a 12 Days of Christmas Bill Clinton style, and I'll tell you what, it tests my limits of how long I can do his voice. Because I did it on stage for about 5 minutes, and that was like 4 to 5 minutes, and that was hard. Because I mean, even though I'd practiced for God knows how long on it, but it's because you're talking. So you know, the 12 Days of Christmas is a very long song.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, and I've had to shorten it on stage to fit time, but I'll tell you what, it really fits. I'll tell you, on the first day of Christmas, my true slut gave to me a blow job under the tree. Because I can picture him saying that.
You know, on my you can go to the Ruse official YouTube channel now, and it is uploaded my performance from the show you were hosting. And right after I'm on stage, they can see you get into Bill Clinton rapping, and it's a beautiful bit. You just pulled it out of nowhere. Well, you literally, the video ends with you saying, "Balls are sweaty, dick is heavy."
It's all right. If you had one shot, one chance to fuck pussy in the world, would you do it? Or would you tulip? All right, cock is ready, balls are ready. Fuck, I just want to come already.
Yeah.
And I've actually had that one for a while. It was just sometimes like I've had jokes. Sometimes I'll have jokes in my head that I'm not necessarily practiced. You know, it wasn't part of my routine. But I said something. Oh, I can play with this, right? And so I did that. Like, so I'm like, oh, you were rapping. I'm like, oh, I got to do Bill Clinton. I'll tell you what, I really do. And I was working at the job I was working at his warehouse, and I had 12 hours a day I was working. I'm like, I had time on my hands, so I started playing with this, because I could picture Bill Clinton doing this, right? So I played about, Bill Clinton's a freestyle rapper, and like, and it's a good. And one thing I'm trying to get better at comedian is improv, because like you guys remember about 6 months ago it was, you had the bridge collapse in Baltimore, and I got the week after it happened, I was on stage. I'm like, well, my bit's going to collapse faster than Baltimore Bridge. You know, and some people will take it too serious. I'm like, you realize it was a tragedy, but you have to like make fun of yourself too, which is what I was doing. I'm like, yeah, it shows you how bad I'm just going to collapse on stage. Not that I'm going to, but comedians got to have self-deprecating humor. You know, like I'm the greatest, blah blah blah. You know, I'm nowhere near that, and it's like making fun of yourself. People can relate, like. Oh yeah, I can't believe I did that. I do that stupid stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like if you walk in, every man at one point in their life has accidentally walked into a women's restroom. Everybody,
At least once.
at least once.
If you haven't, you're not.
I'll tell you
human.
what. Play times for me. I'll tell you what. But I have, and it's like so. Like what like because it's like
I'll admit it. I walked into the wrong room. I'm not proud of it, but it's what I did, and I can live with it because that's what a real American would do. Make America great again. How about we keep the men's restrooms for the men?
That's really true, really true. Give him for the men. You know, I grabbed it by the bleep while I was there. Yeah. And it's like, so every guy can relate to that. It's like, like, oh, and when you do pieces that people can relate with,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not even you think they can relate with. It's just like, oh, I like this idea because it's something that you like, something stupid or whatever, and then people like in the audience can relate.
Yeah, I think so. I think most good things start with good ideas. Pretty much everything. Like if you just observe like the greatest of comedy, the best of comics, what are they doing? They're putting a lot of thought into everything is well crafted. Usually that's kind of a universal thing. There are some people who can get by, but when you're thinking all-time greats, it's always all about like the ability to master the craft of it rather than like doing the simple act of just going out and saying jokes, There's something on a deeper level to it.
The amount of hours you will spend. So my first performance back after the shutdown, I kid you not, I spent at least 100 hours practicing this bit. It was a 5-minute piece. I spent at least 100 hours practicing it. Because I've been quite a while, so I was really rusty, and so I spent a lot of time practicing to get it in line. So I talked about our my first piece back was talking about having a wedding what's it called, a new husband manual.
Okay.
So I talked about a new husband manual. Then I talked about how my wife is a classic car, and then I went on to about the Ronda Rousey and her fiance getting married.
And that was the first set coming back?
Yeah, that was my
and you
first.
You practiced it for 100 hours.
Yeah, at least 100 hours.
Yeah, because that makes sense. But I guess to a point with comedy, it's a bit different than music, where I have to imagine at a certain point, you just have to do it live. Because if I can practice a song a million times by myself. It's just about getting it right. Whereas What you're doing is more intimate with the crowd. You need the crowd to understand what you're doing. So you almost need the feedback. If you don't have the feedback, you don't actually... You could practice the same set forever and not realize.
Yeah.
And music's sort of like that, because you realize, oh, I should reel this in. I should go a little farther with this. And you sometimes I'll just do things live. It's like, oh, I'm glad I found that. But comedy is different in that it's more cerebral, I feel like. Every single word you say, you have to kind of judge yourself. People film themselves a lot.
Well, I film everything I do, and for not just for others, but for myself to look at myself. But what's funny when you do stand up is you set a punchline. This is what the punchline is going to be, because this is what I think is going to be. But sometimes people will laugh at something that like you don't think it's going to be funny, so you have to learn to pause and wait and say, hey, they think this is funny, so I'll just wait.
Right.
Because it's all a guessing game. What you think they're going to find funny might not be. They might laugh at A and not B, and vice versa. And so it's like learning that of like, they find this funny, so I'm just going to have to pause. And while you're pausing, you got to remember, okay, this is where I'm at. Because it's like, it's not like a speech where you're just going on with maybe a few claps, which you expect, but so it's like sometimes you gotta, they're finding this funny. You're like, and I've done that where like, they found this funny. Like the soul food joke. That's the one few jokes that it was just solid as it was. There wasn't a deviation.
How so?
So like, a buddy of mine was on stage and he was talking about soul food, and I'm like. Because we get ideas from other comedians that they're talking about something, and they'll say one word or a phrase, and we think, I need to make a joke about this. And this was that night. It wasn't something I had really written. And sometimes, oddly enough, some of the greatest jokes that you create are not ones that you spend hours or days on writing. Sometimes it's like the soul joke was tweaked maybe 1 or 2 days after the initial one, but it was just people really liked it. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those that tends to be generally overall people like, this is funny. Unless they live in a cave or something, they tend to find it funny.
Yeah. Because a lot of comedy is universal too. It's kind of like what I said about ideas. I think that like you're kind of trying to find the universally funny thing. Like to be the best comic, you just want to be universally accurate and be universally in touch, because it's the same thing with music. The best artists are usually in touch with what it is at the time. You just kind of figure out, it's like finding your voice, I guess. It's the same thing, because once you really find it, you are more in tune with the reality surrounding you, and that's really important. It's one thing I struggle with. I feel like I know exactly what I am doing up there. It's kind of a strength and a gift and a curse, I should say, because I think if I did comedy, I would bomb, because I would get stuck in this. Because with music, I can do this. I can go out there and I can say, I know exactly what I am. And if you don't like what I am, you don't see it yet. And one day I'll see it. And I can just believe that so wholeheartedly that I will go out there and kill in my mind every time. I'm always being the best I could be. Mm-hmm. Whereas with comedy, they just might not laugh. And if they don't laugh, that hurts.
I can tell you, I had a back-to-back open mics. Night one, I mean, it wasn't like it was brought the house down, whatever. But it was a pretty solid set.
Yeah.
The second and the next night in another location, crickets.
The same exact set?
The exact same set. Yeah. Because sometimes certain material will land better with certain groups of people. Certain jokes maybe will land in the south side of Chicago that wouldn't in the north or the northwest suburbs. Like some of the material will rocket in the north or in the south side of Chicago, but you go up to like Barrington or whatever, it'll be crickets.
Huh. Yeah, because people are different everywhere.
Yep.
It's crazy because then you leave Chicago and you're like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, I did.
Everyone's different.
I did a piece, my soul food joke, I did in front of an all white crowd, crickets. But
where was that at?
And it was in Sterling.
Okay.
And it was crickets.
Yeah.
And or LaSalle, Peru, something like that. It was crickets. But I've told it to other white people and they laugh. But sometimes it's just the audience, whatever. It was just rather funny. I've told this soul food joke to so many people, and the more somebody knows about soul food, generally speaking, the harder they laugh because they're like, yeah, this is pretty about right.
Yeah, it's the acknowledgement of it. Yeah. It's kind of when we were talking when we first met, you were talking about people the context with jokes, because that's another thing is, again, with like, I guess, universality, you almost can't have too much context. You can't rely on certain things. If you're being current, you have to be current. You can't say, oh, remember the 90s when OJ was in a murder trial. You can say that, but like some random things you just can't really pop out and make work, because a lot of people don't. I guess even OJ's a bad one because everybody knows about OJ.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, like I'm old enough, and like I remember we were talking. You didn't know the full extent of the Bill Clinton cigar thing.
Exactly.
And so I could tell this, and I could do what I was telling you about, and some people like younger generation would be like, "What are you talking about?" So sometimes you had to put in context the situation. I wrote a joke that just fell flat because I couldn't manage to write, even though I love history and was writing in a way to try and relate it, just didn't work out.
Yeah.
But you have to have, sometimes you had to put context in.
Yeah. It's almost educational.
Really educational, greatest education, private schools, not public schools, really bad public schools, especially in Washington, D.C.
And that's the problem with this guy. You see, he makes these problems. He tells everybody, no public schools. We've got plenty of public schools. We got numerous, all kinds of public schools. This Trump guy.
Public education is what I call it. Public education. 2 and 2 is 7.
That's wrong. Lies. He's lying to you people. Yeah, man. It's funny because I just think like I asked you if you knew Adam Ray. Do you know Adam Ray?
I know the name.
Oh, you'd love him, dude. You'd love him. He's Dr. Phil. He's basically made this Dr. Phil character more popular than he is as a comedian. Like, he started doing it on he did it, the first time I saw him do it was on Rick Glassman's podcast, but he's done it other places, I'm sure. And he has the full-on makeup, he looks like Dr. Phil, and then he just does a Dr. Phil impression for an hour and a half, 2 hours, like for a full podcast, right? He's pretending to be Dr. Phil. And that's the bit, that's the character. And then he was on the show
Get real. Get real.
Yeah. We'll be right back. I can't even do it. I can't do it. But so he did that, and then we'll be right back. Yeah, something like that. It's a tough one. It's a Southern accent. It's a little bit Southern. Maybe this is it right here. I don't know. I don't know Dr. Phil very well. I haven't consumed enough of his content.
Nearby.
But the thing is, he made that his thing, and then he did Kill Tony, which is a very popular comedy show with Tony Hinchcliffe. He goes on there as Dr. Phil. And then later on, he was Joe Biden while Shane Gillis was Donald Trump. And so,
I saw that. It was freaking hysterical.
Yes, that was Adam Ray. Adam
Ray
Ray
was the best I've ever seen impression of me. Absolutely amazing. I applause.
For 2 hours, dude.
Yeah, and that
3 hours maybe.
And that, so like, and that's not easy. Like it's one thing to say what speak in their personality. It's another thing to speak for a long period of time with that voice.
Yes, exactly. You have to be like so committed to that bit to the point where it's the craft thing at that point. Like, people who can stay in character for that long, that's hard. That's really hard. Because at a certain point, with an impression especially, it's just so hard, I feel like. Because like I said, that accent, I can do that for a while. That's pretty easy. But like to stay in character, but also to do a person, that's crazy, because I could talk like this. I could do that. That's almost like practice. So, I don't know. Another accent that I think I do very well is this one. You answer the phone, and it is me on the other line, and I say, is your internet working?
Well, some people don't see humor in things.
They wouldn't like that one.
Well, where I currently work at a restaurant, there was a guy that worked there that he could do a different impressions, accents, and so the people would place their order, and he would go from one accent, they'd talk, and then he'd do another accent, and apparently the manager didn't find this very funny. I wasn't there time to see it, but for what I described, that's funny, because it's like now if you had a camera of the person there in their car, you could see their brain exploding. It's like, how many people am I talking to? And I love doing this. Like, I was at a museum years ago, in I think in Volo, Illinois, and there was a statue of a wax statue of a butler, and as you're walking in, there's the where they sell knickknacks and so forth, and so
Souvenirs.
Yeah, souvenirs. And so me and a friend of mine went to the through the museum, came back, and we see this family there, and they look at me like, "You're not going to do this." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to do this." So I walk on the other side of a shelf so they can't see me, and as they all get close to the statue, I say, "Good evening, how may I help you?" And you just, the faces are just, the brains are exploding, right? And like the father and wife or husband and wife are just going nuts. They're like, "Oh, I'd like to help you. What do you need?" And all this kind of stuff. And they're like going nuts. And so they got the mother of one of the husband or wife, and then the kids are there. And I go behind her. I said, "Oh, it's just me." And the wife wasn't too happy, but apparently the mother of the husband or wife found it absolutely hysterical. She's just laughing her tail off. Something like, goes back to some people who don't think it's funny. Well, I'm sorry, that's the moment right there. I've got to do it.
Yeah. And sometimes it is just seizing that moment. Comedy is risky a lot of the time.
It is.
You need to take a risk. Because I almost feel like it's divisive things that tend to be the best things, in the sense that, like, it's almost good that you're provoking that reaction in people, because you're highlighting something, like by being able to just do a silly voice and have people be upset by it. It's like, why are you even upset? Who cares?
I went and I had a piece set on set, and I asked the audience, I said, "Do you want a G-rated joke or do you want an X-rated joke?" And I already knew what going in what I was going to do, but I'm like, I see round applause. I'm like, and end up getting more applause for X-rated. I said, "Good, because I got a G-rated amnesia." And that was off the cuff. I didn't think about it. I'm like, "Oh, this plays well." And so I was like, and so I went on to whatever my bit was. And now I did a piece also about a banana spider that actually, I was telling you about this, about the banana spider actually will, if it bites a guy, it can give him a semi-permanent erection. And in some cases, will actually kill the man. It's rare, but it does happen on occasion. I'll tell you what, I'll take that chance. I really will.
Yeah.
And I saw something online about this. I'm like, "Oh, well, this is material."
Yeah. I feel like you're always looking for material as a comedian, right? You're always looking for something. Because I have a list of things that I think would be funny to if I literally, I have it titled in my notes, stand-up special. And it's for when I finally have my stand-up special, is what I always say. And when someone says something funny to me, I'll be like, "Oh, I got to write that down."
That's
for my
exactly.
stand-up special.
You have to seize a moment and write, either put it in your notebook that's in your phone, or you physically write it down.
I believe it was Eddie Murphy. I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody's special. And they were saying at the beginning, like, if their idea is too much for one sticky note, then it's not a good idea. It should fit that simple.
Well, the topic, yeah, but sometimes there's going to be some more drawn out. But yeah, you need to at least have the topic. Or like when I go to do a contest or something where I'm going to have a longer set, I take a note card with me and I jot down the topic of each of the jokes, so like I can look at it. Oh, that's my reference point. Doesn't have to be the whole thing.
Like a bullet point.
Yeah. Like I have a piece about being married twice, never divorced, and that plays so well. And watching people's brains explode is so much fun when I say that joke.
It's all on the face of it, yeah.
And I did a piece about dating. What was it? It's called a dating. Dating sticker, dating sticker. So a new partner, it's called new partner sticker.
Okay.
So when you buy a new car, it doesn't matter who it is, They have the year, make, model, engine type, and everything up and down, like specifications of the vehicle. And well, we should have this for a dating partner.
What specifications?
Well, how many partners, sexual partners have they had? What's their 0 to cycle ratio?
Yeah. Okay.
How many personalities do they have?
Yeah, that's a really good one, actually, with the personas. That's something you really would want to know. Sometimes you think there's 2 and there's actually 4. You thought you met the 2, and then 6 months in, there's the 3rd one.
Well, that's one reason that my married twice, never divorced joke plays so well, because, how many guys are like, you're right, my wife does have more than one personality.
Yeah. That's the truth of life. That's a sad one to figure out. I think we all have multiple personalities. I think we all have that a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
some more than others.
Some more than others. It's a spectrum. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because, some people, they're very much themselves, but then you'll catch them slip for a second. You'll be like, you have more than one layer. But, like, you'd think they could convince you. Some people are really good at acting like they're one trick pony, but they're not. That's the trick. That is the trick. Mm-hmm. You figure it out eventually. I think that's a fun thing about, right before we started, you said collaborating. You love meeting new people and collaborating. That's something you really like. I love doing that just because I will find different aspects of people through collaboration and different aspects of myself through collaboration, right? You learn through people.
Well, yeah, you absolutely do. Like, I network a lot, and I've learned so much from the different comedians, not just how to become better, but I've learned, as a person, maybe how to be more compassionate towards somebody, because maybe I've not suffered, maybe I've never experienced somebody who personally has cancer, but they have. So maybe I can learn to be more compassionate on that aspect, because if we connect with people, and they've had cancer, well, that hits me closer, because as I get to know them, it hits me more because I'm friends with them. So if we can learn from others how to, not just in the networking as becoming better as in our profession, but as individuals, because at the end of the day, if we could just treat people a little bit better, the world would be a little bit better place. Because my view is you can't be laughing and angry at the same time. There might be a very rare of those, but generally speaking, you're going to be angry or laughing. So if we can make people laugh, they're less likely to be violent, less likely to be angry, because their heart's filled with laughter on whatever it is.
And folks, that's why he's the doctor of laughter.
Really great doctor. I really like this doctor. I should bring him into the White House. Not like Obama's, or Biden's doctor said he had dementia. Really bad dementia.
Dr. Trump, if I could just, I would love to do this longer, but Ruse has pressing activities. This has been a great hour conversation. We can do another 3 sometime soon. I could talk to you forever. So I'd love to have you back on.
Oh, I'd absolutely do another one we can set up.
Yeah, man, it's a great time. It's you know what I like about doing something like this is I feel like it gives you a reason to get to know somebody on a deeper level, because it's like most people, you just meet them in passing, you see them in passing, you kind of get to know them, a level of them, a bit of them. But sitting down and talking with somebody for a long period of time, you get a good sense of who they really are. And I love doing these for that. You seem like a great guy.
Well,
so
I enjoy it. I enjoy getting to know you, and hopefully gain a deeper friendship through this.
Absolutely, man. And I'll just remind the people where they can find you and all that good stuff. Any last message you want to send to them?
So YouTube is Doctor, spelled out DOCTOR, of Laughter 1975. Instagram is the same. TikTok is the same.
Sweet. And that should be about it then.
Absolutely.
All right. Ruse Radio. Clocking out.
I got the world in my pocket, got a girl on my arm, got an eye in my socket, whirlwinds in my palms. I'm a free man, let me lead you along. I can show you something different, let me sing you a song. Ain't no algorithm touch me, ain't no palace this lovely. I find a way to find a way out.